So let's talk about one more fighter that is on the card before we move on to some other news. And that is your man, Demetrius Andrade, and who is somebody who's a bit of an enigma, I think, when it comes to just the boxing landscape. He's somebody that's been around for a while. I think people have been tracking Boo Boo's, since his amateur days. He turned pro in 2008. I've always said I thought he's been pro for 15 years. I thought he's had one of the kind of more mismanaged careers for somebody of his talent level. He's not a superstar. He's not even a star. Really, when people like Charlo, the Charlos are more popular than him, and we can't even bring in.
I don't know about that.
I do.
If we look at Andrade's ticket sales in Providence and we look at Charlo's ticket sales, do they even do shows in Texas? Because I know Jamel Charlo's undisputed fight wasn't in Texas. That shit was in Northern California somewhere, Indio. And Andrade, when he goes to the TD Bank North or he go to wherever in Providence, he do about 9,000-10,000, which ain't huge, but he not pulling out of fights because the ticket sales weren't moving allegedly. So that's my counter to that. Other than that, I agree. I don't think there's anything that's unreasonable that you said. You can even probably make the argument that that Charlo might be a little bit more popular. Maybe Jamel, maybe Jamal. I don't know.
Yeah, and then we kind of talk about the Charlos. They come as a tandem, but I'm looking at his ledger, and it's just not impressive to me.
There's nobody in. When you say his ledger, you mean his box rec, his resume?
His boxing resume.
Yeah. There's nobody on there that blows you away. I don't think it's as bad as most people make it out to be, but there's definitely nobody on there that blows you away. There's no doubt about that.
When his name comes up, to me,
he's popular on here though. You go to YouTube boxing community, and he's like the Paul Bunyan of the YouTube boxing community. He has his hardcore contingency of guys, and for a guy who has been relatively inactive, who hasn't fought really anybody seriously of note, he still gets a lot of airtime on the different YouTube.
Well, he didn't fight at all in 2022. That's crazy.
He didn't fight quickly.
Nope. He fought.
Damn, that was in 21, huh?
That was in 21.
Well, he had the whole Zach Parker debacle. That was how he ended up getting not being active, not having a fight in 22. So yeah. But he was injured, and I did tell y'all that he was injured months ago. We had that discussion, but yeah.
But so with that said, what do you expect to see? So he's fighting Damon Nicholson, who's 26-4-1. He's got 2 KO losses. He's a hometown fighter. He's from Lower Maryland, so he's gonna have some contingency of fans that are there with him. His last notable fight was against Edgar Berlanga, actually, and he took him all 8 rounds. I don't know if that's more of a product of him, but right. Are we excited to see this fight, or what do we kind of make of? And we can stay with you, Boston Jerry. What do we make of Demetrius Andrade at this point?
Am I excited to see him fight Damon Nichols? No, is it Nichols or Nicholson?
Nicholson. Excuse me, did I say yeah?
Nichols.
Nicholson.
No, I'm not excited to see him fight Damon Nicholson. I am excited to see him back in action, and then I am excited to see him on yet another side of the street where it should be possible for him to make fights. But no, I am not excited to see him fight Damon Nicholson. But you know, he's like you said, been out the ring for what, about 13 months now.
Yeah, he last fought in November of 2021.
So yeah, this is, you know, if everybody is entitled to a tune up, get your body, get your mind right type of fight, especially when being out of the ring. And this is not with me having any inside info or anything like that. If it were up to him, I don't think he'd be fighting Damon Nicholson. I think he'd be okay to jump in the ring with any of them guys over there. I think if you gave him a guy like Benavidez, or you gave him a guy like Plant, or you gave him a guy like Charlo, I think he'd be ready to jump right in the ring with either of those guys. But now, man, this is kind of more the same from him. I have not seen much of Damon Nicholson. I believe I watched that Berlanga fight. So I have no idea how this fight really plays out. I watched that Berlanga fight kind of not really closely paying attention to it. So I'll defer to Dave. Dave, you've seen Damon Nicholson fight, right?
Yeah, no, I know Damon. I know him very well, man. I mean,
how do you think this fight plays out?
Yeah, so I met Damon, you know, definitely during my time up there at Headbangers, man. He was up there for a while, man. And I like the kid, man. I really like the kid. My thing of it is this. And I understand you saying Andrade would rather take, you know, this fight. Hey, well, if the purse is higher, then I'd be willing to take it. Don't mean that I'm necessarily ready for it. And even when we first started Pop Talk, me and you used to go back and forth about Canelo and Andrade, and I still say would have still whooped his butt. You know, we used to go back in the beginning, go back and look at the beginning episodes. But with this fight here in particular, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I personally am very excited about it. I got just one fear. My fear, honestly, is that will not let his hands go, man. But when that boy throws punches, Damon can fight, man. But I'm telling you, we got to see which one's going to show up. I love this man to death, dude. I really like this kid, but I got to be honest and true to the sport of boxing. We got a 50-50 chance of seeing who shows up. If Damon shows up throwing those hands and he comes to fight, I think this will be an interesting fight for Andrade. I think it'll be a very surprising and interesting fight. If he comes up in there a little timid by the name or whatever, you know, all fighters gonna say I ain't scared of nothing. You know, I didn't like what I saw with Damon when he fought Berlanga. You know what I'm saying? He was real apprehensive. He was very apprehensive in that fight. Period. That's just my take. But I'm saying that I hope he realizes this is an incredible opportunity for him, and that the boy got what it takes to make Andrade have some thoughts. And I'm not a big fan of Andrade either, but you know, so I think it's going to be a pretty good fight. My strong caveat is that if this guy comes to fight, and let me define what I mean by fight. Get back what's given to you. That's all. If Damon got that attitude of get back what's given to you, I think you guys are going to be surprised by this fight.
So, all right. Well, let's see. The word out of Providence is that the power has increased since putting on the weight. The word out of Providence is that he was really struggling to make that. Those last couple of fights at 160 was not fun, and that additional 8 pounds, the power has increased.
Woo. But I mean, that's noteworthy. So I ain't taking away nothing from that. You know, and again, that's why I say that strong caveat. I need Damon to throw them hands.
That could. I mean, he was big. I mean, I can't believe the guy was at 154 at one point. But
he was a string bean. He was a string bean, and he's starting to fill out. Similar to how like a guy like Hearns filled out. You know.
Yeah, he ain't no Hearns though. Let's not get.
No, I'm talking about his body composition, dude. I'm talking about how he's put together, dude. I'm not comparing the two careers, man. Come on.
No, I'm just saying, just as a puncher, like Hearns was one of the most lethal punchers ever.
Right, but they're both about 6'2" and some change, and they both got 70+ inch arm reach. That's all I was saying.
So, casual. So looking at Andrade, so he is eyeing Jamal Charlo, and he's making his way up to the super middleweight division. And he says that my preferred preference, and I'm always going to keep saying it because there's no more network shit, win, lose, or draw, is Jamal Charlo Bro. So, there was an issue because Andrade was with DAZN. He is not with him anymore, not with them anymore. And so he has returned to Showtime with this upcoming fight. And he is eyeing this as an opportunity to get the fights that he wants to make. So do you see him getting this fight next?
I do. I think he'll get after this fight. I think he'll get either the three. I won't poo poo. I won't poo poo like if Benavidez beat Plant. I won't poo poo a Andrade Plant fight for Plant on the come up. I won't poo poo that. But I want to see the Charlo fight. A lot of people used to say that PBC or Showtime or whoever was protecting Charlo. But if you look at it now, there's no protecting because he hasn't fought in so long, so he can't be making nobody money. And then you got you got Andrade coming over. So whoever wins, that's who your moneymaker is. So I think at 168, man, them guys can go for it, man. It's four big dogs in the weight class now, and I think 23 it should make for some good fights, man, and see the best to come out. I think Canelo's going to vacate those belts. I don't see him doing any mandatories at 168, and then at 168, man, the big dogs are all on PBC. And let those guys fight for it. And like, there's no this side of the street no more. It's all about all these guys under one house, under one roof, and let them go at it. And I'm excited that Andrade's over at PBC. So now there's no excuses anymore. So like Charlo better not bring up that time when Andrade was under contract to fight Jamel and backed out. He can't bring that up no more. So
he will.
So now it's shit to get off the pot with all of them. Benavidez is fighting, Plant is fighting, Andrade. Okay, this is his first fight over on PBC. So this is his excuse for a step up fight or a showcase type fight. But after that, I think Charlo gets a showcase type fight because he's supposedly coming off an injury. But after that, man, all of them, them four people need to be fighting each other towards the end of the year.
Well, given that news that you said that was on Boxing News 24 about him vacating.
Well, not vacating. They just say he's moving up.
Well, he move up. He gotta.
Yeah, but it wasn't no formal. He's giving up the 160 belt to go. It just said he's.
I got you. Fair enough.
Yeah, I think it is a good look that he is with PBC, and Eddie Hearn admitted that he really couldn't deliver the big fights that Andrade, warrants with his talent in there. So when you do have the trio of Caleb Plant, David Benavidez, and Jamal Charlo, I don't see any reason why any of those permutations, can't be made going forward in 2023. As boxing fans, we need it. And I think as Andrade, he's pretty much had a kind of a nondescript career, even though he's been fighting for 15 years. And, at some point, right, as the casual said, you're either going to shit or get off the toilet. He's going to have to kind of make his mark and how he wants to be viewed for his boxing legacy. But not only that, make some good money. I think he signed some pretty good deals, so I don't think
he's made some good money.
He's made, but right, he's not fighting Charlo money. You don't think so?
Well, I don't want to put all the man business out there. I know he got a big ass house on some of the most expensive real estate in the United States of America, and what I heard, he's working on building a indoor pool in his backyard. So he ain't hurting for. He ain't hurting for cash. He got paid a lot of money to fight those nondescript guys over there. So, It looks like it's going to have to be Charlo, though, right? Because these other guys, if you're Caleb Plant and you lose to Benavidez, you're not going to jump right in there with a Demetrius Andrade. And if Benavidez wins, you're not looking backwards at Andrade. You looking up. You trying to go for Canelo Alvarez fight.
Unless, like you say with the WBO, PBC say, hey, y'all two fight for this vacant. If Charlo vacates, you'll be like, y'all two fighting for the vacant.
Who's fighting for what vacant?
Like who? The winner of the Benavidez Plant fight.
Canelo, if Canelo vacates,
that's an eliminator. That's an ordered eliminator. So if Canelo Alvarez vacates after the Benavidez Plant fight, then Benavidez gets upgraded, just same way that Jamal Charlo got upgraded to the 160-pound champ when Canelo vacated that belt.
Benavidez is already the champ.
You said what?
Benavidez is already a champ. He's the
right, and then they ordered an eliminator, even though even though it should be a mandatory defense, but whatever, we won't go there. So now Benavidez moves right into that championship position. Morrell's another guy who, when Canelo vacates the WBA,
who's Morrell aligned with?
Morrell's a PBC fighter.
Oh shit!
He moves right into he becomes the WBA champ.
But there's no excuse for these fights not to be made. I mean,
168 is gonna be ugly once Canelo let him go.
Yeah, it's gonna be a free for all. But the good thing is that most of those belts end up over on PBC quietly, and I'm looking at the rankings now. Demetrius is the number 2 ranked fighter in the WBO at 168 pounds without having fought any fights. He's the number 2 guy behind Caleb Plant. So Caleb Plant loses. John Ryder loses. Andrade is right back in the same position he would have been in if he had gone through and fought Zach Parker for peanuts and fucking Cracker Jacks, whatever Frank Warren was trying to offer him in that second purse bid. He's right back. He's right back where he was without having to do anything except beat DeMond Nicholson.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? What belt did he have at 160?
It was WBO.
So that's probably why they probably did a drug deal instead of him becoming the mandatory, going up for the WBO, be the mandatory for Alvarez. They're probably saying, look, he's going to vacate soon. We'll make you number 2.
Yeah, he's the number 2 right behind Caleb Plant, man. So this is gonna get very, very interesting. The odd one is the IBF, because Willie School, who is out there in promotional no man's land, is the number 1 in the IBF. And I told you, I swore before God that I would keep bringing this up. Edgar Berlanga is the number 4. So how much you want to bet that after all these guys fight, or I don't know what Edgar Berlanga has been doing, somehow or another, Berlanga ends up at that number 2 position, or Willie School gets dropped for inactivity and Berlanga becomes that number 1 for Alvarez's IBF.
I mean, at that point, he's just an exhibition boxer at that. You know what I mean? This. All right, but we signed off. Make sure y'all like and subscribe.
Peace.
Peace out. Keep it popping.